Many are saying that it may well be the end of the Trump era. But is that really the case? Because there's signs coming through in popular culture that it isn't. Despite the impeachments, the indictments, Trump seems to endure.
Yeah, that's a very nice way to put it, Brendon. The polls may not show it, but the evidence from the ground shows us that the more Donald Trump is attacked, the more support he seems to generate. Let's check out the details.
I'm Brendon Fallon.
And I'm Lee Smith.
And we're over the target. One signal, Lee, that we've seen coming through recently, and this isn't something like a poll that we can point to and say, well, there's a dramatic upspring of support for Trump in the community since his indictment. But this has come from an unexpected quarter from the son of gangster rapper, producer Suge Knight. And he put on Instagram an altered image of Trump to make Trump look black and said, "Free my N-word, Trump." Interesting that, for one, that it would come from this quarter, and what this might signal about other support for Trump, popular support for Trump, that we just don't hear about.
Well, yeah, it is interesting. I think, though, if we remember, and we got some of this back in the first campaign Trump ran in 2016, we were reminded how many rap artists had mentioned Donald Trump in one of their songs. I mean, that's a lot. Donald Trump is a very popular figure historically in popular culture. The last several years, as most of the arts community, entertainers, TV actors, Hollywood actors have expressed, Robert De Niro perhaps at the top, have expressed nothing but hatred towards Donald Trump, and De Niro even threatened to punch him. I think there are others who have threatened to punch him too. But remember, Donald Trump has had a lot of popular support from popular culture figures, and Suge Knight is one of them. So this is partly a reminder of that, where Donald Trump comes from, his place in culture. But as you say, it is important insofar as it indicates the kind of support that the attacks on Trump are likely to generate now.
One of the reasons it's unusual to see this is because I imagine there is a fair amount of support out there for Trump, but celebrities are reluctant to voice that, as you were alluding to, because they face significant backlash. And just an example of this is Ice Cube made it public, made it known that he had had a meeting with the Trump administration, with Jared Kushner and several senior Trump officials. This was in the lead up to the 2020 election. And the reason he couldn't meet with Democrats, because they weren't available to meet with him. The Trump administration was available to meet with him, and he made that known. And I remember seeing on CNN, we can take a look at this, where he was almost kind of held to account, you know, like, can you, you're not really with Trump, right? You don't really support Trump, and, please justify why you would meet with the Trump administration.
Both campaigns contacted me. Both campaigns wanted to talk to me about the contract with Black America. One campaign said, "We love what you have, but let's really dig into it after the election." And one campaign said, "We love what you have. Do you mind talking to us about it?" And that's what I did. So I didn't run to nobody. And so that was real misleading to me.
Well, I didn't say you ran to anybody. I said that you had taken a pivot.
Well, you said I ran over to the Trump team instead of the Biden team. That's just not true.
Well, but you are working with the Trump team instead of the Biden team, and people are giving you heat for it. What do you say to them?
One of the big concerns, of course, the Democratic Party, this wasn't just the Joe Biden campaign, though Biden famously blundered when he told that one podcaster, Charlemagne the King, I believe his name is, am I right there? When he made that stupid statement about, if you're voting for Trump, you ain't black, right? But it's a very big concern, the Democratic Party, that it holds on to its African-American constituency, because without that part of its base, the Democratic Party has no chance of winning elections at all. So the idea that someone like Ice Cube comes out and says, Ice Cube is not my favorite pop culture figure, by the way, but I found it was very moving what he was trying to do. He was trying to find out who wants to listen, and who wants to help build programs, especially for young African-American men, for boys and young men. And I think this is so important. And he was impressed and happy that the Trump administration met with him and listened to him do this. So this is another important thing, support coming from other places, or at the very least respect coming from different places, and how the Democratic Party is very concerned about this. They don't want to lose significant parts of their voting bloc.
And of course, Lee, who could forget Kanye West, one of a staunch Trump supporter, I guess, right from the beginning. And he suffered unparalleled, well, I wouldn't say unparalleled, but severe media backlash because of his support for Trump. I remember that I think he was invited onto a particular show and insisted on wearing his MAGA hat. And I think we can take a quick look at that to see what unfolded there.
I support our president. Bottom line, no matter who they are. As an American, I support our president. Now, I already told you what this represents for me. This represents y'all can't bully me.
Well, of course, the relations between Trump and Kanye have been a little rocky since then for all sorts of different reasons, and Kanye's own statements have caused a bit of trouble. But again, one of the big things here is that the press and the Democratic Party are trying to shape Donald Trump, and I mean, this is true that U.S. intelligence service as well, trying to shape Trump as a white nationalist. And the only people who could possibly support Donald Trump are white nationalists, AKA domestic terrorists, right? And that's how they're moving on a lot of Trump supporters. So anything that breaks that framing is a big problem for the Democratic Party and its allies in the media, because they want to focus, again, on Donald Trump's non-minority constituency.
I see how it could be a threat and a serious inconvenience to the establishment or Trump's opponents if this really starts to manifest on the surface these other segments of support outside of what they've tried to categorize as Trump supporters. You know, it's very easy to see how the media, for one, wants to typify Trump supporters. You just need to look at any Trump rally, the people that they hone in on. They want to cast them as white, not very educated deplorables, to use the term that Hillary Clinton used.
Trump said he could shoot someone in the middle of Fifth Avenue and get away with it.
No, I don't think so.
He did say that.
No, he didn't. No.
It's on tape.
Yeah, well, look at what they've done since the 2016 campaign, right? There was that famous NBC Access Hollywood tape. And after that, if you support Donald Trump, again, that was another time where it's all over for Donald Trump. If you support Donald Trump now, you support sexual assault. So this was, of course, meant to push women away from Donald Trump. And after the election, Trump opponents were appalled. The media was appalled that so many women voted for Donald Trump. So again, this is a way to try to cut out different parts of his audience. That African Americans can't vote for Trump, women can't vote for Trump, educated people can't vote for Trump. And now with the indictment, what is it? It's like, well, we want to send Donald Trump to jail. If you support Donald Trump now, you support sedition, you support espionage. So again, they try to limit his support again and again, and it keeps backfiring.
That's right, Lee. Somehow, despite the kind of taint that is on being a Trump supporter, Trump endures and the support continues. One thing you could look at as evidence of this is after the indictment, his approval rating, according to a Trafalgar poll, went up over 10%. And we also saw another example was during the 2020 election, he received 10 million plus more votes than the previous election. Why is this the case? And I'd like to bring out now a quite telling clip from one of my favorite comedians, Dave Chappelle, which I think cuts to the core of why Trump continues to have support.
And the moderator said, well, Mr. Trump, if in fact the system is rigged, as you suggest, what would be your evidence? You remember what he said, bro? He said, I know the system is rigged because I use it.
Trump is expressing something that a lot of people across the country have been feeling for a long time. They feel like the system is rigged. And David Chappelle tells it in a very funny way, as only he can. But if Trump represents to people, he explains to people how the system is rigged against them, and he's seen it from the outside.
If you're enjoying this abridged version of Over the Target, you can find the full version on Epoch TV, where you can leave your comments and even join the live chat. And we'd love to connect with you on there and share that space with you.
Yeah, if you like what we're talking about here, you got to see us on Over the Target Unplugged. Watch the full show, unabridged, Over the Target. Find us exclusively on Epoch TV, where you'll find all your other favorite Epoch TV shows alongside Over the Target.